Hey, what's up, y'all? Back with another video, and it's about Under Armour again. And I feel like I am just always talking about Under Armour, but it's one of the companies that I think have so much potential to be more explosive than it is. And I happen to think that most of the issues that the company has happens in the C-suite. It doesn't happen amongst the people who are actually doing the work. I wish things were tighter over there and the people at the top would let loose the control that they have, because at that point you get a much more competitive sneaker industry with a strong Under Armour. And right now, Under Armour is not very strong. As we already know, they're losing Embiid to potentially Skechers. That's not a major loss, and I'll get into that. But I'm talking to you guys today just to get into it. If you look over here to my side, you see I came up with a great Game of Thrones analogy for De'Aaron Fox joining Curry Brand. A King in the North joins House Curry of Under Armour. I think that's just a cool title. If you don't, sorry. All right, so if you remember back in 2017, Nike added a new rookie class, and I'll click over here so you can see who that rookie class was, right? It was Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo, Harry Giles, Jonathan Isaac, Markelle Fultz, De'Aaron Fox, and Jason Tatum. Now, of those guys, I originally said that, you know what, let's go back and this is what I said. Of all of the guys that Nike has signed, De'Aaron Fox may be the only guy who stands out as a potential shoe endorser, and the only one who should earn a signature sneaker at some point. Obviously, since I wrote this in 2017, Jason Tatum has a Jordan Brand deal and he has a signature sneaker. The only reason I say that De'Aaron Fox is the best person with the most potential is because he has a memorable name. But on top of that, he had an incredible series back in 2017 when he was playing for Kentucky. The Fox One. Think about that name. If Nike had kept, they did an Air Max called the Swiper. And if I pull that shoe up, as a matter of fact, I'll jump over here and go to StockX just to go to it and type in Swiper Max. And we get the Air Max 1 Swiper, and we look at all sizes, and we get an average sold price on this shoe of $275. Now, there's only 38 sales in the last year, but that shoe dropped. I think it was in 2019. So there are not that many out there anymore. But man, it was a cool looking shoe, and it had that Swiper logo going across the back. So Swiper the Fox, if you have a kid or if you were a kid and you watched Dora the Explorer, you remember that Swiper was the fox who would go around and try and steal the map. Now, you don't want to float backwards and go back into that with De'Aaron Fox, but you have to kind of think about, will they kind of play around with that concept with Curry Brand? Who knows? But I thought that the Fox One and Swiper, I thought it made for an excellent opportunity for marketing. Now, like I said, 7 years in, Tatum is with Jordan Brand and has a signature sneaker. And the rest, as I stated in the original post, the rest of those guys do very little to add energy to what is a really saturated sneaker market. So De'Aaron Fox, for me, is almost a mirror image of Steph Curry. And I'm not talking talent. I'm talking in the career mode that he's in. Now, with this recent news that Joel Embiid is possibly signing with Skechers basketball, Under Armour finds itself with only one signature athlete in the stable, and that's not counting The Rock. They have some player exclusives and things like that, but Under Armour's kind of lagging in that territory, and for a long time, I thought that was a problem. And now I'm starting to look at Under Armour, and I'm saying maybe Under Armour is getting it right. You really don't need a ton of signature athletes. The sneakers don't sell that well anymore. And I've done tons of videos that showed you the breakdown of sneaker sales on signature shoes. I even did one recently on women's basketball, which I guess I'll put over here somewhere and you can click and go and look at that video. But maybe it's not that you need all of these endorsers. Maybe you need a really good player player exclusives, and then you focus on team because basketball has shifted. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get back to it. So not counting The Rock, Under Armour only has one signature athlete. I think Jordan Spieth might have a golf shoe. I'm not sure about that. Call me on it. Embiid was very underutilized, though. I have to say that. Ultimately, even with him being underutilized, I don't think he would have ever really sold a lot of sneakers. Big men don't sell sneakers. They just don't. He had an amazing story. So if you think about Joel Embiid and the story that he had, Under Armour didn't utilize that story at all. And it didn't get any spotlight. And this is the problem. If Under Armour places the same amount of energy into Fox that they did for Joel Embiid, even with Curry brand, the result will be the same. You'll have flat sales, nothing really happening for Under Armour. But once again, basketball is not where the majority of sneaker sales happen anymore. All right. Now, the good thing is the NBA understands the importance of these parallel paths. So what you have is De'Aaron Fox and Steph Curry being interviewed, by Malika Andrews. And they're talking about the fact that these two are joining forces and that he's coming under Curry brand. And that's a really important thing. And it's really good to see that the NBA and ESPN is picking up on this because it is a fantastic story, specifically because of the parallel paths that they've taken. And this is one of those things where as they highlight the moments of De'Aaron Fox wearing a sneaker, it's pretty good. But the video doesn't necessarily kind of capture the real essence. Think about these things. Curry left Nike, right? Ended up with Under Armour. Here you have De'Aaron Fox, left Nike, is now with Under Armour. Soon after Curry left Nike, the Golden State Warriors became a dynasty. Now, it doesn't have anything really to do with Under Armour, but there's an interesting narrative being created here. As soon as this contract with Nike was over and during the year that Fox began wearing Under Armour, which was last season, the Sacramento Kings had been living in basketball purgatory. They were dead. 16 seasons passed and the Kings hadn't made it to the playoffs. And then the year that he starts wearing Under Armour, they storm back and make the playoffs, but only to face Steph Curry. So you have this kind of weird juxtaposition happening. It's not even a juxtaposition, it's a parallel. These guys are kind of running in the same flight path. Now, does that mean that Sacramento is going to be on deck to get some championships? Probably not, but it's perfect synergy. You basically have the prince and the king. And there goes my Game of Thrones reference again. So when you start thinking about these parallel paths and, how they can do these different things, it's very cool to see these images of Fox and Curry because they are so similar in size, how they look. And this is one of those things that's really interesting is when other brands began making moves, Nike ramps up again. They haven't really been doing a whole lot when we think about basketball, right? But in a league where Nike is just omnipresent and they are quickly capable of snatching athletes away from any brand if they desire to, the swoosh tends to land on people who are mercurial, right? So as opposed to working with De'Aaron Fox, who I said was going to be a really good kind of option for signature sneakers, Nike has Ja Morant. Ja is an elite highlight reel athlete in a small market, and Ja could become the face of the league. But here's the thing. Ja engages in behavior detrimental to the NBA. His 25-game suspension has seen his sneaker release bogged down and unable to be promoted. as it was initially when they did the ice sculpture with the 12 logo and they did all of these fantastic things. But this is one of those wow situations where people aren't paying attention. You got this Only Basketball ad, right, by Nike. It just dropped 4 days ago as of 10/28, end of October. And we see Asia. But Ja Morant doesn't even show up in the ad at all. And this ad is airing on the NBA, and it makes sense. You don't need him in a video, and he's not playing for another 20 games, 22 games. But you see they got D-Book, and you got, obviously the references to Kobe and his great little street ball segments. Ja doesn't even make an appearance. And I'm like, wow, that's problematic. But here's a difficult kind of thing for me to make a connection to. De'Aaron Fox, and like I said, I don't want to raise this point because it sounds like I'm being negative towards Ja Morant. De'Aaron Fox is the anti-Ja. He hasn't had any off-court or on-court incidents. He, like Ja took the Grizzlies to the playoffs. But unlike Ja came into the best situation that you could come to with the grit and grind Grizzlies. De'Aaron Fox took the Sacramento Kings back to relevance. And then in the playoffs had a crazy 38-point game against Steph Curry. So you have all of these comparisons, and I don't want to say that De'Aaron Fox is like the anti-Ja, but I'm going to get into that a little bit more. De'Aaron Fox has this amazing performance from the NCAA tournament that Under Armour can call upon. There's just a lot of good synergy potentially for Under Armour Curry brand De'Aaron Fox. But the most unfortunate comparison I can make is from the outside. De'Aaron Fox is very much like Steph Curry. He's clean cut, tattooless. Curry actually has a few tattoos, but for the most part, tattooless. And he's an athlete who can be held up as an example. And that's not to say a young black athlete like Ja with the locks and the tats that he can't be a role model. I'm not saying that. Please don't think I'm saying that. But we have to understand that Under Armour caters to a particular segment, a particular population. And at this point, De'Aaron Fox fits the bill of catering to that segment. And I hate to write that because it could be taken negatively in the wrong way. I think this is a great thing for Under Armour. But here's the ultimate question. Will it sell kicks? Curry, right, is entering the latter stages of his career. We think about Jordan Brand. We got Curry Brand, Jordan Brand. Michael Jordan unretired, right, as the Jordan Brand was being created in the late 90s, right? So you have Jordan Brand being born, and Jordan Brand signed athletes like Eddie Jones, Vin Baker, Mike Finley, Ray Allen, of course. Melo came in afterwards, got his own signature. Basketball was still the most prominent option for sneakers as casual wear. Catch that sentence. I'm going to read that again. Basketball was still the most prominent option for sneakers as casual wear. Jordan with the Wizards kind of presented a change in the moment, and things were going to start shifting away from basketball, but we still had that 10,000s highlight of Nike basketball growth, and you kind of had a little bit of basketball growth going into the 2010s, but things were starting to change. Curry remains with the Warriors, unlike Jordan, who left the Bulls and went to the Wizards after he unretired. Curry is still extremely relevant. It's a different kind of, it's not the exact same comparison to Jordan Brand that Curry Brand has. But if we look at like LeBron, and we see him, he's going to play until he's 45, right? I mean, maybe. The dude looks incredible at the beginning of this NBA season. Curry is going to play for another 5 years, but he's trending down. And His game will allow him to play, but I don't think there's going to be any more championships coming out of the Bay Area for Golden State. Could potentially. I think they might grab one more. I think he'll get to 5 and be very Kobe-esque in this sense. Curry's influence on young athletes is going to start waning as the Wembanyama era unfolds and the league moves towards these long, athletic Kevin Durant clones like Chet Holmgren, right? So Curry won't have the same influence, but De'Aaron Fox carrying the torch with Curry could be special. And you think about this, the Curry-Fox 1, CF1, has a very nice ring to it. De'Aaron Fox is on the move towards a 5 to 7 year upwards trajectory. And that's going to see these amazing battles that pit him against Ja Morant in the playoffs. Now, as amazing as the Wembanyama KD clone era is going to be, when we look at where basketball sneakers sell, when we go back to the grassroots level, basketball is filled with guys like Curry, De'Aaron Fox, and Ja Morant. That's more realistic. That's where the sneaker battle will happen. It's there that it will take place, but it won't capture the type of sales of, that Under Armour is hoping for. Unless they actually follow through on the promise of this new moment with a long-term strategy, which deviates from copying Nike's EYBL and adds more regionalized components supported by training and other aspects. Now, understand what I'm saying here. Under Armour has the association. You get potential pros from that. But as we've seen over the last 20 years or so of Under Armour being involved in grassroots, or the last 10 to 15 years or so of Under Armour being involved with grassroots, who can you think of that they have that came from the association and from the grassroots circuit as a signature athlete or as a signed athlete? I don't think you can name any. And I mean, I know this isn't live, but I'm simply saying that chasing and following the Adidas gauntlet or the Nike EYBL format and doing these big tournaments where you can sell a lot of shoes, copying that format is not the way to go. They need to become more regionalized, a lot more regionalized. Under Armour in particular, every brand should be, but Under Armour in particular, they need more training aspects and regional aspects, which leads me to the final part of this, which is Under Armour plus Curry plus men's data. That's the key word. If you see that over here to my side, you'll see the small chart. And what I'm trying to establish here, using the keywords, Under Armour plus Curry plus men's for data, I looked at a year over year in third-party sales for Curry, Under Armour, Curry, men's. And the results showed a decline. Now, in 2022, from October 1st to October 27th was the dates that I looked at. 2022, they did over 1,242,000 in sales, total item sales. Compared to 2023, it's almost been cut in half. And that's very dangerous for Under Armour. But more importantly, even with that being cut in half, you see over here, the data, 9501 was the average price of a Curry shoe sold in third party, with 13,000 pairs sold in 2022. 2023, that average number dropped to almost $10. And the sales went down to 7,120. Under Armour is in a dangerous point for Curry, and the shoes are not selling. And as much as I like the new designs, they are dabbling with too many synthetic knit sneakers. And I would hope that the Curry Fox 1, when it arrives, has more of a traditional element, which is very hard for Under Armour to pull off, more of a traditional element with these kind of new technical foams that Under Armour has that are fantastic. Of course, you have Hover. And, you know, when you start looking back at the older different cushioning systems for Under Armour, the Micro Gs, if you take some of those spawns, the Brandon Jennings joints, and you modernize those, but if you take some older textures, traditional materials, you may come up with something that's very unique that could cross over. And I hope that the old SC logo for Curry, I hope that logo kind of makes an appearance in some shape or form, and that De'Aaron Fox's, the Fox logo, is made in that similar kind of cut of the SC logo from Curry. I think they could do something special. I think Under Armour can do something special, especially if they move towards a regionalized form of marketing and understand team sales is the way to go for Under Armour. If they do that, this could be special, especially the training aspect of it. If they do training also, which they're doing with the Curry shoes. I think that's it, man. I don't know how this will play out. I'm looking forward to seeing how it moves forward. And the idea that De'Aaron Fox is going to be the first signature athlete under Curry brand, it's really exciting stuff. That's it. Nothing negative on Under Armour right now, man. And I typically don't have anything negative. I just have a problem with the C-suite and the fact that they seem to hamper the momentum of the people who are on the inside with really bad hires. But that's another Under Armour story. Maybe we'll talk about that later. And I think I did do that when I did the Varvatos article. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shout out De'Aaron Fox, Steph Curry, Under Armour. Looking forward to the Curry brand and everything that's going to happen there. Peace.